What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. We're going to be coming at you with another GTO build video today. We're going to be working on the catch can, plumbing and mounting the catch can, how I run a dash 10 line to both sides of the engine, and how we can do all of this on a budget and have it come out pretty dang good. If you guys want to see more on this car or any of our cars, make sure to check out the channel. We've got a playlist for each one that will show you everything we have done with or to that vehicle since we got it. So while you're there, please think about subscribing and ringing the bell. It'll keep you up to date on all of those videos and let you know anytime we post something new. So let's jump right into today's video. Alright guys, so here are some valve covers and the catch can. This is the catch can that I've been using on the red GTO for quite a while now, probably a year or so, and it's worked out great for me. I got this can on Amazon. It does have some internal baffling, which I will show you guys. And then for all the lines, I used the Evil Energy off of, I believe it's Amazon as well. I'll link everything that we've used, including the extra valve cover, in the description below, like I always do. But originally what we did was I ran the dash 10 AN fittings to the catch can and then to our dash 10 AN line from Evil Energy. The fittings are from them as well. And then I ran another dash 10 on this end with a fitting like this one right here. And what this does is it hooks into the oil fill cap location. You get rid of your cap and you put this in there and it turns it into a dash 10 port, so you can use it for catch cans or some other things, I'm sure. And I use it for the catch can. So then I would have a dash 10 on this end that would hook up to that, but on the other end with a stock valve cover you have no other location to hook up to that is that big. So I had to run a like reducer coupler inside here and then just a little rubber hose with this little fake AN fitting to try to make it look somewhat decent, and it's just a hose clamp. But I'll show you guys where I had that hooked up to. We originally had it hooked up back here to this factory port on the back of the driver's side valve cover, because as you can see there's no way to hook up a bigger port on a factory valve cover unless you buy the adapters from like Motion Raceworks or one of the other companies, but those get really expensive really easily. So I'm sure they work great and we will try them out at some point, but for this project I'm trying to keep it budget, so I'll show you what we did instead. So instead we picked up a second passenger side valve cover for an LS. It's for a GTO. It's the passenger side, like I said, so that you get to keep this oil fill. And we just got another one of these adapters, so that now all we have to do is take this off and put a dash 10 fitting on there, and we will be able to have two dash 10 ports all the way from the valve covers to the catch can. So what we're gonna do next is I'm cleaning these up. You can see how it looked before and what I'm cleaning them up to look like. And you could polish them, but I polished the blower and everything and it just took so much time that I just don't have the time to do it. So what we're gonna do is get it down to this and then scuff it with some sandpaper and paint it with a nice wrinkle black finish, which we will go ahead and jump into doing right about now. And then I will get back with you guys once they're painted. We'll go ahead and put them on the car and I will walk you through my entire setup for the catch can so that you guys can build this for right around $100. I mean, it saves you a ton of money and it's worked great for me. So let's go ahead and get these things painted so that we can get to setting up the catch can. Alright guys, I finished cleaning them up and then I went ahead and taped them up. I got the bottom taped up too. This is what they're looking like right now. We're gonna use this VHT high temp wrinkle. I was gonna do like a gloss black, but it's kind of hard to see on the newer valve cover. there's like some imperfections. It's almost like it's sand casted or something like that. And I was afraid that through the gloss, you might end up seeing some of the imperfections there. So we decided to give the wrinkle finish a try, and I think we're gonna go with that. So I used some surface prep wax and oil remover, so we should be good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to spray these. I'm gonna set you guys outside and I'll get back with you in a minute. Alright guys, so the valve covers have finally dried. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever used that wrinkle finish. I actually think it came out pretty sweet. I'm not sure if the camera is really doing it justice, but it's like a, I don't know, it almost looks like a professional dip or something. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like really uniform, a lot more uniform than I was expecting, to be honest. But it's pretty cool. I'm happy with it so far. My only complaint so far is, and it's my own fault, I didn't know, I've never used it before, but apparently I didn't spray it heavy enough on the sides here. I was afraid it was going to run and look like crap. I guess I should have just went for it, because the tops and everywhere else came out fantastic, but the sides are not really wrinkled. That, and then on this one I used an AN adapter that we're going to be using, and I just taped it off to cover the hole here. And you can see that I got the paint all the way up, and it kind of has some wrinkle to it, not much. But on this one I screwed up. I used a regular oil cap we had, and I tried to spray under, but it must have just covered it a little bit. But once the adapter's on there, and this one's going to be facing the back anyways, so we'll never see it. But I think they came out pretty cool. Now we've got to go ahead and pull our tape off, and I want to see what my polished sections that I left are going to look like. We might have to take a razor blade to them to clean them up a little bit, because of my tape job, I'm not a professional, but we can do that. And then we might take a piece of Scotch-Brite or the fine whiz wheel and clean them up just a little bit. So let's go ahead and peel the tape off and see what one of these bad boys look like. Damn, I'm real happy with how these things came out, guys. Had to hit them with the whiz wheel a little bit just to clean up some of the edges from overspray, like under the tape or paint seepage, whatever you want to call it. But after hitting them with the whiz wheel real quick, I'm super happy with how that came out. I think it's going to look sweet on the car. So I'm going to go ahead and get the intake manifold on and some other things that you guys will see in a different video. But I'm going to throw those things on, and then we can throw these on and see what exactly they're going to look like on the engine. I think they're going to look badass. So let's take them on over to the engine and see what they look like. These things came out so good. I am so happy with how they look. We haven't even gotten the fittings or the line on for the catch can yet, but I'm super happy with how it came out, guys. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you guys think I should have gone with a polished look, or do you think that the black looks good? I think it came out way better than I was expecting, to be honest. First time we've used the wrinkle finish, but I actually think it sets it off pretty good. We're gonna be trying a different pipe here, because not sure how I like this one, and I don't like the layout of the meth injection versus the intake temps. So I might put a polished pipe there and do the temp sensor back here and the meth sensor up here, if we decide to keep the math. If we are gonna get rid of the math, I'm probably gonna put the meth nozzle up here and then the temp sensor back here. But, all right guys, so let's get everything out we need to start on the catch can itself. All right guys, so we went ahead and used some 1-inch aluminum here to make a bracket that we are then going to mount the catch can off of. I did something very similar on the other car. It's gonna sit something kind of like that. I did something very similar with the red GTO, and we were going to use that bracket, but with this car we wanted to extend it out a little bit more to make room for that heater valve and a couple other things. So right now we're working on that. We're just going to go ahead and get some more bolts for this and finish this up, and this thing should pretty much be mounted. And then I'll show you what we're going to do to run the lines and how I showed you already to the valve covers, and we'll tie all this stuff in. Alright guys, so we've got the catch can mounted up, sitting in its final position here. So what I decided to do was go ahead and grab some of the hoses that we used on the red GTO when this can was on that car. I've got the longer of the two set on here now. We've got a 90 on this end. I'm going to run it up underneath the windshield cowl there, tuck it up nice and neat, and then probably have to shorten this side of the hose up and run a new 90 right to that fitting. So that should take care of that, which is pretty simple and easy. I'm happy about that. And then for this side, I think I'm going to use the shorter hose that we had off that other car and put a 90 at the valve cover on this side as well, and then run it down to either a 22 or a 45 here, whichever one seems to give us the best angle. So I'm going to go ahead and play with that a little bit, see what I can get to fit nicely, and then I will show you guys what we come up with, and we'll make a couple ends and get this thing buttoned up. Alright guys, so after looking at it some more, this is what I decided to go with, that fitting I showed you guys with the 90 up here. So I went ahead and put our piece of tape on there so we can cut it, and I marked the tape down here with a Sharpie, since this is going to be such a short line and we don't really have much room for slack or to be short or anything. So I want to get it as close as I can. So we marked it so we can now take it over to the bench, cut it right on our line, put this end on it, and hopefully that one should be good, and then we can go ahead and take care of the second one and get this thing buttoned up. Alright guys, so one of the first things we need to do after we get it marked and measured how long our hose needs to be, we need to come over here, wrap it with tape, and cut it. You can use a fine-tooth hacksaw. I've seen people use cut-off wheels. I've done it myself a long time ago. But these little cable cutters from Klein, I believe, these things seem to work really well for us, so that's what I'm going to use today. So we're just going to cut it right on our line. You want to be pretty much as straight as possible. Pretty nice even cut. If you have any pieces of the metal that's in there sticking up, go ahead and cut them off with a pair of tin snips or dikes or whatever you want to use. But now we can go ahead and peel our tape off. Alright, so now we're going to take our fitting and take it apart. I've done videos on the PTFE hoses before. This is just a regular AN style hose. So if you guys seen the PTFE video, you have very similar pieces here, but the PTFE has a little olive, or I forget what else you call it, but basically a little piece that would go in here as well. AN fittings only have these two pieces. You cannot interchange the hose between the fittings, so make sure you're using AN hose with AN fittings. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw the nut in the vise here. Alright guys, so with the vise, I use a set of these soft jaws. They work pretty well. They're just basically aluminum jaws. A million people make them. I'll link mine in the description for you guys. And then we're just going to put our nut in there and tighten it down a bit. Don't go crazy with these. These ones are just aluminum, so you don't want to break them or deform them at all. Just enough to hold it in place for us. Now we're going to take our hose that we cut, and you're going to want to try to get it started in there without letting it fray. And it's going to take some effort to get them going. And we just want it to bottom out inside this nut, which it looks like we have. So now we can go ahead and pop this out of the vise. Not sure if you guys are going to be able to see down in there, but we are bottomed out up against the step where the threads that start threading onto here are. So that's all set. Now what we can do is go ahead and set this in here. I would rather have this facing this way, but with the angle that we're using, it doesn't fit in the soft jaws, so that's how we're gonna have to do it with this one. And then what I do is I take some, you can get assembly loop for these things, or I use WD-40, and just use a good amount right on this end here. And then I put some on the threads to help them start. And then I also take some oil and put it on the inside of the hose that we're making. It'll just help it slide together that much easier. And now that we got these both oiled up pretty decent, we're gonna go ahead and start trying to force the hose and nut over that. We're gonna try to get this down and start turning it as we go. Now once we get it about as tight as we can get it with our hands, we're going to go ahead and back off on this vise. Do it sideways, probably be a little easier to show you guys. Take your AN wrench, adjustable or the regular AN wrenches. Now you want to keep tightening this until you get it pretty close to bottomed out. I like to try to line up the flats. I think we're going to try to go one more flat. Pretty lined up to me. And there you have it. We've got our end on, and it is ready to go. Alright guys, so we just went ahead and threw the hose that we made on. Fits perfect. I think it's going to look alright. Obviously we've still got some tape on here protecting that fitting, but once we get that off, I think it's going to look nice. The only thing else we have to do is put this second line up exactly how we're going to want it along the cowl there, and then line it up pretty close over here so that we can go ahead and cut it back where it needs to be and get the end on that. And that should be the last line for the catch can. So I'm gonna go ahead and try tucking that up nice and neat and get that cut, and we'll get it made. Alright guys, so here's the finished product for the catch can. I think it came out really good. We've got our short line coming right up to this valve cover, and then the longer line, I had to run some heater hose anyways, so I decided to run that line with the heater hose behind everything, up along the firewall there where it splits off and then goes over to its port on the valve cover. I think it looks really good. I'm really happy with this wrinkle finish. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please think about sharing it with a family member or friend. Also think about subscribing and ringing the bell. It's the best way that you guys can support the channel and help this channel grow. We do have a few more build videos before we can slap this thing on the dyno and get it out on the streets and have some fun. So please stick along with me on the journey, and we will catch you on the next one.